one live. Rob, oh, by the way, I was thinking that is the first time in 20 years of interviews that I interview someone outside, and especially in this period, Rob. So you're the first time ever that I interview someone in his own garden. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. First time I'm doing it too. Normally I'm in the home office, but I figured it's such a beautiful day out. We'll try it and see how it works. So
yeah. Oh my gosh! I now you're launching a trend, I think, and I just want you to remember that in 5 years when you'll always be the man that does the live stream outside, say the first time I remember was Monty, my first ever time that I tried that.
I was thinking Italy. I really usually in July, August I go to Italy. That's where my family's from, and so I'm just thinking like, I usually am outdoors in the Mediterranean by now, but so I figure I'll try my best in this setup. So
that's cool. That's cool. But is LivePerson is based in New York or where?
Yeah, we're based in our headquarters in New York City, but we have 17 offices around the world, and we have about a little over 1,200 employees. We have an office in Milan, Paris, London. So half our business today is outside the U.S., half is inside the U.S.
But Rob, I remember about LivePerson since, I don't know, like a long time ago, because I remember when I was checking, and say, well, it would be cool to have a chat with Rob, LivePerson. But then I thought, gosh, but LivePerson, I remember a LivePerson company, long time ago. And yes, it is you guys that just grew in all of this time. So you saw a lot of internet, a lot of evolution out there.
Yeah, so I mean, I started the company in 1995, and then I invented when you chat online for customer care, web chat in 1997. Filed the first patents around that, and then I took the company public in 2000. So I'm 20 years of a public company CEO. And 27 years total in the company. So it's kind of rare. The average lifespan of a public company CEO is 5 years. So like and I've gone through a lot, the .com, I lived through .com and now we've got this, obviously we're all living through this. So it's been an interesting journey.
What's the biggest change that you saw during this 20 years and over?
It's, I got to tell you, I think what we're experiencing right now is driving a tremendous amount of rethinking about, I'll call it the analog world versus the digital world. And e-commerce, up until a couple of weeks ago, globally was about 15% of commerce. So if you were in 1995 like I was, and I saw the internet very much at the beginning, and all of us who were there at the beginning were thinking, this is going to just dominate all of commerce. This will be our normal. What happened was it didn't get there, except for like Amazon, who owns 50% of e-commerce in the United States. Everyone else is just kind of, it didn't get to the place that we thought it would. But what's happened now, I don't know if you've seen the stats, it's something around 25% now of commerce is now e-commerce, is digital commerce. Wow. In a matter of 4 weeks, 8 weeks.
Crazy. Excuse me, Rob, 25% worldwide or US?
It seems worldwide. So it's happening in Europe, everywhere. Cool. So that's the stats, because you can't get to stores. You can't get to stores. So the acceleration of the concept of digital is really taking off. And in my world, which is contact centers, like we work with these contact centers, and there were voice, people answering voice calls. They look like factories. It's like, if you looked at a contact center, it's like hundreds of people sitting 3 feet from each other on a headset, just like a widget of a customer gets put into their ear. It's a widget, and they're talking. And we always said there's got to be a different consumer experience. You should be messaging and connecting in a different way through a mobile device and not calling. That got blown away. Almost all the contact centers around the world got shut down, at the end of March, beginning of April. So like It changed the game in our world, and we've increased our traffic by 40% month over month between March and April. I mean, it's been an extraordinary run. So everything's moving to what should have been happening, but there's like a greater hand out there that's moved us all along.
Yeah, just faster and faster. And by the way, I titled our chat "The Death of the Call Center." And while I was writing it, I thought, gosh, how many times? Tell me about you, Rob. If was the same for you, how many times during these 20 years of tech startups that I've done, I said, I don't know, email is dead and is still here, or YouTube is dead. So it's a way of saying, of course, the death of the call center is a way of saying is changing dramatically, let's say.
Yeah, and the call center, the physical contact center actually ended. A certain amount of agents made it home, but I think about now, about 40 to 50% of capacity of those agents never made it home, as in they went home, but they can't take a voice call at home. For instance, if you're in the Philippines where there's big call centers, India, there's big call centers, a lot of people in their homes, they don't have connectivity. They don't have wireless connectivity. They don't have broadband, so you can't take a call. So that capacity went away. And what happened was, now all of our big brands, we've got some of the biggest brands in the world as customers, they basically all have said, we want to build automations. We want to use AI. We want to use conversational AI. And so that's really what's the filling in the gaps of that capacity issue. And then we brought the agents home because they can message at home. They could be in their home. They're not answering a call and their kids are running around and things are happening. They can manage their life at home as a digital agent versus what they were doing with voice calls. So this definitely put I think a nail in the coffin of the contact, which, by the way, should have been gone a long time ago. I mean, we all know we're sitting on hold. We make these phone calls. We got to sit there. We're texting our friends and family and our people at work. And yet when we call a brand, we got to be there. Hello? Huh? Okay, wait, I'll wait. Yeah. Great. It was insane at the start, but there's inertia. People are just holding on to the past.
You know what? Yesterday I did a video where I was so pissed. I was so cross, Rob. You can't imagine how cross I was. I've been on a call with PlayStation for a refund of one of my child that just bought like millions of coins, like out of nowhere. So I got this horrible experience. By the way, I had two horrible experiences, and they could be, a kickoff for some suggestion from you. So yeah. One was this with PlayStation. Yeah. I fill a form on their website. Yes. Then I receive an email with a long list of things that I need, serial numbers, a long list, really long list. And that I prepare this. I spend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to prepare the list. Then I reply to the email and they say, no, you can't, you have to call. Then I call with this list and I wait forever, like forever. And then a super rude guy start to say, but we will not refund you. I said, what are you talking about? So it was a surreal experience. And then I shot a video saying, guys, you are embarrassing. There's the worst customer care in the history. But I mean, this is a common experience, a day by day experience for many of us.
Oh yeah. And when you think about it, the problem is, these companies want to be customer centric, but their systems and how they're communicating, they're so old. I live inside this world, and it's amazing, because you would say, if I was going to create a company today, I can make that really easy. I would go online, I would text something, however you want to do it digitally. I would then say, I'm having a problem. The machine would come back, say, okay, what's the problem? Okay, I see my kid bought these coins. I want them refund. Great, thank you. And you're done. Why that can't happen? It's because there's this legacy thinking, and it got blown up. The great thing is, for everybody out there who has been on hold, all of this got blown up. I mean, really, it got blown up because we see it. And our customers, what they're saying is, like, it took a crisis. It took a crisis to drive us forward to having a different relationship with our consumers. And this is even happening in retail. We're rethinking the retail experience of when you walk in a store. How can you look at a product and also text and message and find out information on a product without having to find somebody who maybe doesn't even know about the product just because they're sitting there, they were hired. We're thinking about different ways to bring even an experience inside the stores, and with social distancing and everything. There's I love these periods in time. Obviously, we don't like that people are getting sick and dying. There's nothing good about that. We know that. But the fact that this is driving change, and it's some change in our society here, especially in the US, there's change going on that should have happened a very long time ago, and that now there's a greater hand that's moving us forward. because we didn't have it in ourselves to do it. That's what this is about.
But Rob, an alibi, an excuse that these companies often use is, well, we need to deal with millions of cases. So to scale the level of assistance to millions of cases for telco or like PlayStation or these people, they say, look, we always have huge amount of calls. We are very busy. So this is you get what you get and you don't get upset. Like my teacher said to me when I was a child. But is it true? Is it possible instead to deal with scale in a different way?
Yeah, because what there's the way to do it is through AI and machine learning, and we call it conversational commerce, which is automating the conversations and giving the time back to the agents and the reps. And what's interesting about our platform is that we designed it so that the actual contact center reps design the conversations and implement them. And what we found is that everything about bots has been bad over the last 2-3 years. But right now, 80% of our interactions are all automated and on our platform, which is close to 80 million conversations a month. It's a very big number.
Did you say 80 or 18?
80%. 80% have some sort of automation now. It was about 56% pre-COVID. Now it's 80%. But the reason we scale is that we put the power and the tools in the hands of the agents, not the hands of just technologists. And that's what we found. All the bot building tools and AI is all about technology and data science and engineering. We said the people who know how to do conversations, they're the contact center reps. They have them all day. Let them get powered in the tool. Let them create the conversations, implement them, and then they're managing those bots. And now they have a new job. Like we have a group of agents down in the Dominican Republic, and they work for Lowe's, and they're building all these automations. Well, they've doubled their salaries. Their salaries doubled because they're not contact center agents. Now they're bot builders. So there's a way forward that you don't get a lot of job loss and you get a lot of people getting capacity. AI is about capacity. We as humans need more capacity in our lives. And that can be done if machines help us, not replace us, but they augment us. And that's why I don't fear AI because I use it practically in our business. We're augmenting people's work.
Got it. Can you give us, Rob, some practical example of AI in action, or what can you do with the bot, or how maybe some of your clients are using it in a very smart way?
Yeah, so I'll go back to this example of Lowe's. So this customer, if you go back 2 years ago, there was a series of agents having messaging and chatting on the website, and those agents we converted into these bot builders. And today there's a bot on the website. It's called Grill Master. It has its own personality. The agents there's an agent who created that personality, and she understood what it takes to sell an online grill, an outdoor grill, and she knew what it takes to sell that online. So she just took her knowledge and applied it to the machine. When she deployed that Grill Master for the first time, it about 60% of the time it would get through a conversation, but she stayed with it every day, every hour. She's improving it. Oh, somebody asked a different way. Let me improve that. And she's in the tool. And eventually that gets up into the 90% full completion. And today that Grill Master bot sells millions of dollars of grills on that website. And now we're deploying it into stores. So there's an example of an agent who was just a chat agent, first a call voice agent, then a chat agent, then a messaging agent, and now they're an AI bot builder. So that's the progression we see.
And this kind of bot is not only to let's say assist support and give some kind of customer care experience, but potentially can also become like a sales bot, because once he knows how to handle the main questions, and if he's programming in the right way, probably it can help also converting into leads into customers. Possible.
That's great, and that's the power of it. So the gap you see in a lot of bots is that there are back-end systems that take the sale. There's a back-end system that shows inventory. So you got to have those back-end systems integrated into the bot, and that's when you have a very rich system, very rich experience. So whether it's sales or service, which we do both with this customer and many customers, you can do it. Anything that a human can do on a conversation, a bot can do. I can tell you that. Even though the name of the company is LivePerson, and I've spent my life empowering agents to go digital and have human conversations. What I see today is about 80% of those conversations can be automated, and they're going to get automated now. And that's what's going to happen. Now, there are 15 million people in the world who have this job. And there's about 4 million or so in the US alone that have the contact center job. They're going to have to like make the journey. They're going to get replaced. They're going to get replaced if they don't make the journey. So right now, the thing is getting them to make the journey, training them, and getting them to scale automations. And that's our focus.
Mick Bell in the chat has a question about refunds. By the way, which was exactly my case. So what happened when a bot has to decide about a financial action, like refunding the customer? Do you also automate that part, or you have some kind of system of approval and so on?
So sometimes you need an approval. Like, for instance, I know like one of our telco customers here in the US, if you can't pay your bill, you need to talk to a human. And so they have a bot that'll take in the intent. We call it the intent. So I can't pay my bill, I don't have the money or whatever. They then bring in a human. Now we call it the Tango at that point. It's human and automation working together. And sometimes there's automations that are actually guiding the human on how to do the work. And so we call it the Tango. Now, people maybe don't realize the attrition rate in a contact center is normally 40 to 60%. So think of that. Let's say half the people in a contact center quit every year, and they've got to retrain. That's why you see a lot of bad stuff. So they got to retrain a whole nother. And some like large banks and telcos could have anywhere from 20,000 people to 60,000 people. Think of this. 30,000 people a year they have to retrain, bring them in. So a lot of times what we have to do, you put a new person in the seat, they've been trained, but you have the bot who doesn't need training. They have the history, so they can help the agent create a better experience. So we call the Tango is really, in a situation like that, usually works the best. Sometimes it's automated. A lot of times brands want to bring in the Tango between bot and human.
I see. Got it. By the way, a lot of people are enthusiastic about your garden, like Davide. What a beautiful garden, Rob. But are you also into gardening or not? Or you just a garden user?
Yeah, so I have a garden. Actually, I have a garden. So I have this is a farm we have outside the city, about an hour and a half from New York, and it was a horse farm that we're converting into a farm. But we have a garden that's my first time out. I just got this house a year ago, so we're first time out on the garden. But I'm eating so much kale and Swiss chard. I've got my tomatoes are coming, and then I've got a neighbor Rocco over here. This is the difference between living in New York City and living outside of New York City. Like my neighbor Rocco, he comes over like a head of lettuce, and he makes his own wine, and I give him some of my stuff. And in New York City, no one does anything like this. So I gotta say, I think we're all thinking about the home office and distributed workforce. And, you know, we have 1,200 employees around the world. So we've been thinking through, like, I'm having this interview here. I'm doing work. We're performing very well as a company. People are very engaged in the business. So it kind of works. But yeah, I'm going to try to plant wine here someday. So that's my goal.
Oh my gosh. We have to talk about it, because I'm interviewing so many people, and some people are also into the wine sector. The other day, by the way, I interviewed the #1 expert, worldwide #1 expert of olive oil, who is Italian, and he also is a wine taster. Such an interesting work. But anyway, no.
Where's he from in Italy? Where are they from?
Yeah, he's in Tuscany.
Oh yeah,
that beautiful. Obviously is a great place. But olive oil, I mean, it's crazy. In Italy, basically all over Italy, you have different kind of oil. But it's interesting, you know, because with this smart working, remote working, I'm curious to see how countries like Italy, for instance, you know, Italy always been not a digital country. But if you can work remotely and you have the tools, then, you know, you enable a lot of these maybe wine producers or olive oil producers. They can sell, they can look much bigger than they are, because they have
that's correct,
digital support, something like that.
Yeah, and we actually have a platform. It's an expert platform. We have experts selling advice from their homes on everything from tech support to education and tutoring. to psychology. And in that business, it does about $30 million a year for us. It's a small part of our business, but it's really interesting because we got people all around the world you can get advice from. So when I abstract that, if you abstract what's going on today, there's a lot of unemployment, obviously. Some of those jobs will come back, but I actually think there's a place for people with their passions and their expertise to bring them onto platforms. And this is what's exciting. Even the idea of going to an office, like we've been having a lot of conversations. I think there's a high probability we never will get rid of our offices.
Right.
It's a very high because the commute alone is an hour to 2 hours for everybody. Even I'm in New York I live on the east side. I have to get to the west side of New York. It takes me a half an hour each way. So I think that time people want back, they're doing things with it, but I also think it gives people a lot more flexibility to do things in their life where normally they had to go to a physical workplace. So I have hope that there'll be a great change now that's going on, and a shift to different ways in which people are working will play into even how they're living. And that's kind of what we're hopeful for. So
interesting. Rob, what's the name again of this expert platform?
So it's called Hey Experts.
Hey Experts.
Hey Experts. So you can download the app. We're going to do streaming video that's coming up. So we've seen this whole streaming shopping thing that's happening in China.
Yeah.
That we're bringing onto the platform. But we have, right now, there's about 10,000 experts that are on these platforms that we have, including Hey Experts. We got one called Presto Experts, one called Kasamba. So we have a couple of them. But Hey Experts is kind of our newest one. And they make a lot of money. Some experts, they're making $500,000 a year by chatting.
Right.
Chatting.
Crazy.
So they're making money and they're in their homes and they're having a good life. So once again, I think there's a major shift that's going on, but there's platforms like ours that I think can help enable these people.
What's the level at the moment of bot AIization of experience? I mean, if I take an expert about a topic, I don't know, a table tennis expert, because I was a table tennis player. So let's say table tennis, a table tennis coach.
Yeah.
And this coach start to, teach the bot the top 100 answers to the top 100 questions that he always received. Or imagine you receive probably always the same 100 questions, and me the same, and so on. So what's the level? I mean, how much a bot can really do your job in consulting someone else, a lawyer, an accountant? What's the situation today?
It's at its beginnings. So if we go to the vision of all this, and I think like Amazon Alexa represents some of that vision that we have in our head, which is that I'll be having conversations with machines in many different use cases. So part of the technology is my ability as a machine to understand what you're asking about. And that's actually NLU. That's fairly good. Like when you talk, my voice to text and then having the machine understand the intent. Where it gets tricky still is that when they're embedded, you may be asking about something about legal advice, and then you hop out into something else around a different subject than legal advice. And as a human, I can kind of connect all those dots. Okay, we were talking about, let's say, buying a house and you want some help on legal closing out, and then you just jump to you want to set up a will for yourself, or something else, and the bot then has to like context switch. Context switching is the hardest thing for automation, and so then it more or less has to keep this thread open, like we're trying to talk about. Now we kept the humans were so we're talking about this other thread. Now we went back to this thread. And the bot is like, okay, I don't know where we are. As a human,
I lost.
As a human, we have the ability to really context switch, and we have parts in our brain that just hold things in short-term memory. Like, I'm going to get back to this in a few seconds or minutes, but I'm focused on this now. Bots aren't really good at the holding, processing, and that's the parts we're working on to better.
How long does it take to fill the gap? What's your prediction? Is 5 years? Is 10 years? 15 years?
Well, if I go out that long, I mean, probably definitely in the next 10 years, most of all of our world will be powered through conversational user experiences. And whether we're driving our car, there won't be mobile devices. this concept of this mobile devices make no sense. They don't make sense to me right now either. If I think of where it's going, like I'm opening an app to provide an intent. It could be Uber. I open an app. I'd like to get a car here. I could talk that through. I could have a little thing in my ear and be like, I need to get a car to pick me up. Okay, here's your location. Yes, someone will be there in 10 minutes. That's pretty easy to do. That's a very structured conversation. The power. It's like we're a little stuck, but I think in the next 10 years, and I think actually in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a high degree of automation showing up between brand and consumer. That's the stuff we do, which then infers a lot of other things, your TV, all the other things in your life. But the customer care, if we nail that, that's going to have a knock-on effect because you're doing a lot of conversations with brands, with your bank, with your telco, whatever. So it's happening very rapidly right now. So 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to see a major shift in what you're seeing today.
Who do you think, Rob, are the most advanced brands today in customer conversation and customer care using really good tools?
I mean, if I look at our customer base, like T-Mobile, we started 3 years ago, T-Mobile here in the US, and they even the front line, their customer care reps have personalities and they put those personalities out. And so I think they've done a very good job on sort of painting the art of the possibility. And they created a whole new idea called the team of experts, where a team of agents owns the customers, and they own truly the relationship, and the customer doesn't get routed to anyone. It goes back to that team. So I think they kind of pioneered this concept of team of experts. But I'm seeing, what I'm seeing right now is who's going to pioneer, which one of our customers is going to pioneer automation, not humans. And that's sort of like there's a race on right now between a lot of our brands. Santander is doing a lot on the automation side. HSBC, we're doing a tremendous amount of automation with them and some very good automation. They have a conversational commerce head of the bank. So they have someone they have a focused approach to this. So there's some big banks and telcos that are doing it. We have like David's Bridal, one of the biggest bridal companies in the US. They're selling and they're supporting with automations on buying your dress for your wedding. And
I don't believe that.
Yes,
that's impossible.
They are, and people, and they have a bot that talks to you and kind of helps you through. And now you obviously, if you can't get, you couldn't get to the store. Now they're opening them up, but it was helping you with deciding on dress. So they've done a really cool job with automation. So there's a spectrum of customers, but everyone right now is in the we're going to change, we're going to innovate mindset.
You know what? While you were talking, Rob, I was thinking that it's crazy. If I think about Amazon, for instance, and I buy gazillions of products from Amazon, every day, some Amazon leave basically inside my house. I go into the shower, there is Amazon delivering something. I mean, so, but the crazy thing is that I've never called Amazon. No. I never, wait, let me call Amazon. No, I never called Amazon. And I never, I had problems, but I fixed it, easy. So I don't know. But by the way, what do they do different? Do you think they've been a benchmark and they are pushing with their customer service the way to be for the other companies? What's your opinion about that?
Yes and no. So in one way, they have made they productize. So they in their product, in how you use their website and their apps, they productized taking out all the friction that would be poor design. So it's very easy to buy, one click. They are very good at obviously logistics and distribution. They get it to your home. If you've ever had an issue, which I have, trying to get to them is almost impossible.
Right.
So it's not an easy thing, but they look at that, and this is the secret to them. They look at when you have to call as a breakage in the platform and they fix the breakage. Most brands just go, oh yeah, the way we're doing something is broken, because the only reason you're calling a bank or your telco or whoever, your insurance company, is because something broke that you couldn't do on your own. So now you have to call someone. When that happens, they don't go, okay, we're going to get to that like 5 years because our backend systems are terrible. They're like, we're going to fix that. And that's why they're able to do what they do. Most companies go back to, oh, our systems are old. we'll get to that like whenever. We'll put that on our roadmap. So they're a very different company about how they've created. Now, the flip side is they've taken like not every product they have is commodities, but like services. Well, they're getting into healthcare. We all know that. So we'll see what happens. But on the services business side, banking, our big large customers are bankings, telcos. That's an ongoing connection with the brand. There's something, your bank account right now as we speak, something transactions happening. There's things happening. Things go wrong. That's the stuff they haven't gone after yet. So they're good at getting like toilet paper and even like a camera. This mic came today. They can get that to me. But it's interesting when you get into the services side. How do you create that? Because they don't need conversations, and most services have back and forth. There's a back and forth with service conversations versus my product arrived or didn't arrive. That's what it's about. Point. That's what's about. My product arrived or didn't arrive. It's the right product or wrong product. A service is usually a very different conversation. My bill looks wrong. My healthcare. I went to a doctor. The doctor charged me wrong. Well, what's that bill about? It's a different thing than binary products.
Second episode of mine of these days about customer care. I should do a television show like, do you remember Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay?
Yes.
Where he goes, I should do Hell's customer care. I don't know. Anyway, I called my telco because I just wanted to upgrade my router. Okay, just wanted to have faster interconnection. Yeah. So I tried to do it online. It doesn't work. Say, call the customer care. All right. I call the customer care and I say, hi, I'm this client. I input my ID. Then the guy answer and say, can you give me your ID? And I say, look, I just input my ID. Why do you ask me again? But anyway, I get there and then I say, look, I just want to upgrade my router. And this guy start to read the script where he just tried to upsell me everything in the universe. All right. And I just keep saying, man, I just want to upgrade my router. Can you please upgrade? And he keeps reading, So this is another problem, that everything is scripted. So there is you talk with a human that is programmed to be a robot reading to you things. And I go crazy. And then, I'm Italian. So then I start to get angry and I start to ask questions to him. And I say, look, man, I understand you have to read. Please stop reading. Talk with me, And he go to read what to answer, if someone is asking. So it's a crazy relationship. And you get cross and angry. You just want to change the company.
Yeah, there's a great example of that here. During Christmas time, there was an agent at one of the banks, and somebody was having a problem taking money out of an ATM. And it was literally like Christmas Eve. And they called the bank, and they got this wonderful agent who couldn't fix the problem. And she literally gave the person $20 or whatever it was. This is a true story. Gave them $20, like sent them, I don't know, Venmo or something, $20. She was fired.
Oh,
she was fired as a contact center agent because she did the right thing. And that customer will be loyal for life. But she basically was fired because she didn't follow the script. And if you don't follow the script, they fire you. And that's what these agents live under. It's like it's a factory. It's like a factory from 1920. If you don't put the widget in correctly, you're fired. And there's not like a union of agents. It's just they're fired. So they're so scared. Half the time they're so scared of it's so crazy. I feel so. That's why 50-60% of them quit every year, because it's like I've seen agents cry. I have literally seen contact centers cry because people are screaming at them. It's not even their fault. Somebody was put on hold because some old technology put them on hold, and then they come to them an hour later. Someone's cursing at them, and they're humans, and they're like, I don't even know why am I doing this job? And they leave. They quit. They literally leave.
It's a terrible, terrible job. And again, it's not their fault.
No, it's not their fault.
I was cross with one guy, and I mean, it's not his fault. I mean, he's just having this job that is probably underpaid, is unhappy, and he has to read the script. And so, but on the other side, I'm a customer, and I'm really frustrated by that kind of conversation. So, has to be something better. The funny thing is that, are you familiar with Peter Drucker when he say, that they are programmed to do the thing in the right way, but they're not doing the right thing, you know. So this is the major problem. And if you do the right thing, you get fired, like the example I just
said. That's why I think I go back to it. You know, I have a different vision of all this. That first of all, I think the vision what we're executing on as a business, like I envision that every one of us has our own Alexa. First of all, I don't like Alexa because it's owned by Amazon and there's a distrust factor. Like they're in my home, and we know Amazon owns it. It's not my Alexa. But I think where all this goes right is when I have my own AI, and my AI interacts with a brand's AI, and it knows me and it's giving information, but it's mine and it controls me and I trust it. And that's where I think where we're going to get. And I bring that with me. So when I show up to a brand, a lot of things you have to repeat. A lot of also you're repeating stuff that you repeat to every brand, your credit card, all the stuff like authentication. Like if I can bring the AI with me and it knows me, and then there's something on the other side that interacts with me, then things will be radically different. And that's kind of what I envision. I envision a brand has their own AI, their own Alexa that they own. And me as a consumer, I have my own. And they start to interface. And that's the only way, that's the future, is the way it's going to work. And there are rules to interfacing, but it'll make life very different. We should not be spending our time calling a company or interacting with a brand. We should be buying services and buying products. And when I have an issue, I say I have an issue. My little doggy AI goes off and it does what it's supposed to do and comes back and says, I fixed it. And that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Absolutely.
It's just we're
Rob, when that day will come, I will call you because I want the smarter AI available. So that every time my AI chat with someone else, she always wins. You know, like any kind of negotiation, I always get the best results. I mean, it will become like a premium service. You know, like do you want to? Because at the moment, I was thinking, you know, about how silly it is. I remember when I moved here in UK and I open an account in a bank, and they say, look, this is the normal account, okay? Because during the trial period, you have this normal account and you have this call center, and the guy said, and they are, sorry, they are based in India. And I said, all right. And then they said, but if you when we'll move you to the premium account, you'll have British people answering your call. I mean, so I didn't understand. I mean, you know, I'm Italian, so I thought, well, so what's the difference? Well, then when I first called the call center in India, I mean, beautiful people, but I couldn't understand one word, you know, just because an Italian talking with an Indian is not working. And then when they moved me to premium account, was like people from Scotland with an incredible difficult accent. So for me, it was the same, but for them, it was like a premium upgrade, and that doesn't make any sense.
That's hilarious. It's like, we're going to send you, and then it's like, talk about racism. It's like, we're sending you over to these people in the colonies, and then we're here in Scotland. And if you want, I mean, think of it. It's so, I know. And as a customer, you're like, this can't be happening. You're probably like, and by the way, I just want to know, I'm inside these meetings all day with customers. But there are meetings upon meetings where hundreds of people think through this whole concept of like, let's bifurcate the base, and we'll have this low quality service over here. We'll try to get more money. I mean, they think through this stuff, and then you're like, you would think if you were in the room as a customer, like, I can't believe they're talking about this. Why would they even do this? But when you're in a cocoon, the brand is a wall. You know, the best brands break outside the wall. They think like the customer. I'll tell you the funny thing. I have a lot of times I'm in meetings and a customer will say, I will not use my own customer care.
Oh my goodness me.
I'll be in a meeting and I'll hear it say, oh God, I hate calling the bank. I'm like, but you run this. Like, why do you, I mean, I've been in meetings like, oh yeah, it's terrible. We call, you have to go through the IVR and you have to do it. I'm like, where are we here? You like, if you control the problem and you know it's a problem and you're even a customer of the problem, why don't you just change the problem? And they'll say, because we got systems we don't control. There's things that are here way before I showed up. And I feel sorry for everybody. But the good thing is it all got shut down and the cheese moved. So the cheese moved. And for all of us, there's like freedom coming with all of this crap that you're talking about, that's going to just dissipate. It's going to change. It's changing radically. So
that's great news. By the way, I see in the chat someone saying that for instance, Zappos was a very famous example of delivering happiness, where their selling point was trying to be like, I don't know, staying 24 hours with the customer until I fix this problem. So they used also as a marketing newsworthy action the customer care activity.
Yes, and then when you think about Zappos, and actually Fred Mosler, one of my board members, was with Tony Hsieh. They were the original founders. So Fred's on my board, and they'll tell you stories of those days. But you're right, they were selling the brand of delivering a service, and that was happiness. And that's right. The stories that came out is like they were talking to people for 24 hours. They would help people find competitive products. So there are service brands in the world like Apple. We consider Apple one of these brands. So when you think about the most valuable companies in the world right now, you talk about Amazon. We just talked about how easy it is. Apple as a brand. These are the most valuable brands. Most companies understand that, but they still fall really short. There are very few that get it right, and those are a few that you mentioned that really make it right. Like USAA here is an insurance company and stuff. They're known as great quality service. They're with their customers, but there's few and far beyond. Once again, where we're lucky with is we're working with a group of customers that are making the journey. Like they don't come to us unless they want to make radical change. You don't work with us unless you want to change. If you stay in the past with but when they start working with us, it's usually pretty exciting because we push them, they push us, but we move them forward. And that's why we're just blessed to have this customer base that really wants to change the game. And it's hard. Look, once again, there's steps that have to be made, but the good thing is recently they're all have moved to just take us there. Just, we're with you. Like, let's go to vision this year. Let's not wait till next year. I mean, Optus, one of the largest contact centers, one of the largest telcos in Australia, a customer of ours, they're going to 80% messaging, 20% voice. And asynchronous messaging, people message, they love it because they can go about their day and take a message back. They're not on hold. They're going to 80%. They're not going back into offices where these call center factories. They're going to leave people at home. They're bringing the people who are in the stores into messaging. So when you can message somebody in a local store, say, "Can I come in an hour and pick something up?" Yes, you can. So they're doing that, and they're a large telco. So this is happening everywhere. There's many stories like this. So I'm kind of excited, that the change is happening.
That's a good point. Also, because how many people nowadays they use a phone to make a call? I mean, not so many anymore. I get cross if someone is calling me on my phone. It's weird because I mean, a phone is supposed to give a call, but I don't phone like normally, and I find it rude if you call me without my previous consent. So it's kind of weird, and how fast it's changed also our perception. But anyway, Rob, it was such a big pleasure to have a chat with you. A lot of congratulations from the chat. By the way, most of people say that you won. I mean, I've been doing hundreds and hundreds of interviews, but you won the best location interview ever so far. I mean, like by far, number one in the ranking. You are there. So that was fantastic.
And if I can leave you guys with one thing is, besides our business and the AI stuff, if there's entrepreneurs out there and stuff, I would just say, like, I've been on this road for 27 years and 20 years public. And I always tell entrepreneurs, there's just a lot of stories around, like, from start to success in 5 years, Mark Zuckerberg, and I would just say that, especially now, where when you see this much unemployment and things are shifting and changing, this is the time to take the road of being an entrepreneur. But I would just say, if you're out there and you are one, like, never quit. Like, there's so many times, if you look at where I am today, there are times where I learned a lot from being very down, and you learn from those points. But as long as you don't quit, you can really do quite well. And it's not, real entrepreneurs are not overnight successes. Real entrepreneurs fail and learn and build foundation so they can be here 27 years later and be faced with big opportunities. And eventually you cross your opportunity. And like I'm facing something I waited 27 years for. I kind of hung on to. So I would just say for anyone out there, just take the long game. And especially now you can enter, but think, I'm going to be there 20 years later and I'm going to build something great for the world.
I love it. I love it. By the way, Rob, how is being public for 20 years? I mean, it's a big pressure. It's something that you just get used to it. How does it work?
Yeah. I most people complain about it, but I mean, I like it. It holds you accountable. Every 3 months, I got to show up with my numbers. And you see private companies, they can BS it. Look at like WeWork. You would think WeWork was great. The day they said we're going to go public and they put their numbers out to the world, that's when they became a real company. And their CEO no longer could paint the picture of the beauty of what they were. It was about, are you a real company? Are you sustainable? So I think it holds you accountable. You move very quick in changing things. And the most important thing is like, you just got to have a long game. As I'm not the first entrepreneur to say this or CEO of a public company, and I know Jeff Bezos says it all the time, is that if you have the privilege I have 5-year plans. So we develop 5-year plans. If you can do 5-year plans, you win. Most public company CEOs, because I'm a founder, I'm still a very large shareholder. Most hired CEOs are working, unfortunately, on the quarter. And the board's like, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? And the shareholders, and if you can, if you can take a long range view, you'll win. Because most people are betting, they're investing on a quarter. We invested in our new platform that launched 3 years ago. We invested into that 7 years ago. We released it 3 years ago. And today it's like, it's hit the mark. I mean, our company is growing over 20%. So that's the part that's exciting if you can be a public company CEO and have the privilege to look far out.
Long-term vision.
Long-term vision and execute on it.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait to test your wine, by the way. Will be red or white? This is that's the most important question. Red or white?
Well, unfortunately, I'm in Connecticut. So the best I could do is white. I got too much fluctuation in the weather to get a great red. And my family's from Sicily and I go there and if you know the reds of Sicily, that's what I have in my palate. I'm not even going to try to get there. So I'm just going to stick to white.
Fantastic. Rob, thank you so much. Good luck for everything.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Okay, bye.